Yeah. You want to do it?
Yeah,
sure. Which one is it?
No,
what page? What page?
Oh, yeah, 127.
Okay.
127. 127. 127. 127. 128. 127. 124. 127.
Jai
just want to sing? Or, no? ¿Quieres cantar? ¿Algo? ¿Cuál?
Hacemos chitana.
Okay.
¿O cuál canción?
Sí, sí, está bien.
¿Qué página dice?
¿Qué página?
Pues eso es diferente libro. Es Sriman.
It's page 132.
132. Gai Gorama Dushare. Gai Gorama Dushare. Hare
Let's do page 155.
1,
5,
5,
5.
1, 5, 5. 1, 5, 5.
No, wait, go.
1, 5, 5.
Bhaja hure mana Sri Nandanandana Bhaya Chara Nara Vrindare Bhaja hure mana Sri Nandanandana Bhaya Chara Nara Vrindare Bhaja hure mana Sri Nandanandana Bhaya Chara Nara Vrindare Bhaja hure mana Sri Nandanandana Bhaya Chara Nara Durlabhamana Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
or it's not appropriate.
Which one?
Or else, I don't know if you like this one. Amara Jivana, but it's,
Yeah, sure.
how I
What
say
page
it,
is that? 174.
But, it was special melody, so I don't know. If you prefer
No,
the
you
one.
can try it.
Prabhu, can you turn the light?
Page 174.
Yeah.
What tune is it?
174.
Are you doing it?
174, right?
Yeah.
174. 174.
¿Qué tenemos que hacer, Didi? ¿Qué tenemos que hacer? Ah, entonces no cantamos. Entonces vamos. Amara Jivana Sadapaperata Naiko Punyara Lesha
Amara Jivana Sadapaperata Naiko Punyera Porere udvega sadandita koto
Radhagiri Harijivu Ki Jai. Ram Vishnupada Jagat Guru Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ram Vishnupada Guru Churamani Sava Shastra Siddhanta Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Rupan Goguru Bhagi Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswata Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Samadaita Vaishnava Mandali Ki Jai. Whole Cartel Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari. Lord Sri Chaitanya Dev, he is the inaugurator of Nama Sankirtan in the world. And he began this mission 500 years ago in West Bengal in India. And not with kartal and mridanga initially, just clapping his hands. Saying Harai Namo Krishna Jayavaya Namaha. And taking the chanting of the holy name of Krishna to the streets. To show that in Kali Yuga this is the foremost principle of spiritual realization and religious practice, Harinam Sankirtan. Special dispensation for the Kali age. And this is the Kali age where we live, where we find ourselves, where everyone is always experiencing some kind of difficulty in this material world. Mostly, they're saying, people say, we're running to stand still. This is what we find ourselves in the present situation, that we're running to stand still. That means just to get to zero, we're always running. Because everybody is working from a negative position. Financially, everyone is trying to desperately pay off their credit cards, their mortgage, their whatever it may be. Very few are, ahead of it. Most people are running after it. This is the nature of Kali age. Very clever. By very clever marketing, we are led to believe that these things are meant to help us, but actually they're only meant to enslave us. Back in the 1980s, they're practically throwing credit cards at you. The advert used to be on the television, your flexible friend. Do you remember David Andapur? Your flexible friend.
Still there.
Yeah.
Nationwide.
So, then... But really it's not true. If you look, there's a very interesting website by a fellow called Martin Lewis. He's known as the money-saving expert. And he says that the two biggest traps are credit cards and overdrafts. So credit card, if you have, let's say £3,000 outstanding on your credit card, and you just pay back the minimum amount every month, it'll take you 40 plus years to pay it off. because you get interest on the interest every month. So it would take you 40 years to pay off a debt of £3,000, and by the time you've paid it, it's so much more than the £3,000 that you borrowed. And even worse than that is an overdraft. The compound interest on an overdraft is crazy. In fact, it's better to take a loan and pay off your overdraft than have an overdraft. And they trap you with that when you're at university. My daughter is an example. When you're at university, they give you a free overdraft, no interest to pay, nothing. But as soon as you leave university, then they hammer you with the interest. And so you've got, I don't know, £3,000-4,000 plus overdraft. How are you going to pay that off? Unless you get an injection of 3,000 or 4,000 extra pounds, you're paying that off forever. So everyone's in a kind of negative equity every month, and everyone's the same. I'm sure there's many of you in the room here who recognise this. And we don't even think about it. We're lining up. Please give me a mortgage. And what does the word mortgage mean? It means the noose of death. That's actually what the literal translation of the words mortgage, the noose of death. Yes, please sign me up for that. I want one of those, please, for the next 25 years. Thank you very much. I guess once upon a time that was what happened if you couldn't pay it off. Someone would come round and hang you up. Anyway, not to just be discussing finances through the class, but you understand this is the age that we live in. And it's interesting that in Mahabharata there's a story there that while the Pandavas they're the 5 brothers, sons of Kunti, that were bosom friends of Lord Krishna, and they were the heirs to the throne of the world. But due to let's say the will of providence, some bad things happened to them. They had to go into exile and hide themselves. So at one point they're in the desert, and they've had nothing to drink for so long, and so Yudhisthira, who's the oldest brother, he sends them one by one to try and find water. And they come upon this lake, and when they get to the lake, there's a yaksha, means like a kind of being there who rules the lake. And before they drink, the yaksha says, "You have to answer my questions," and all of them ignore that. They drink the water, and then they fall down dead. Not permanently dead, you might be glad to hear if you're a follower of the Mahabharata. But finally Yudhisthira comes, the oldest brother, and the yaksha, who turns out to be Dharmaraj, who means Yamaraj, his father of the gods. He asks Yudhisthira 100 questions, and Yudhisthira replies to those questions. And one of those questions is, who is happy? Who is happy? A simple question. And Yudhisthira Maharaj's reply is, who lives in their own home and has no debt to anyone, he is happy in this world. So just to illustrate that, this is the time we live in. Everybody owes somebody something, whoever it may be. Practically nobody free of that. Because, it's tempting, isn't it? When I was growing up, if you wanted something, you saved up for it until you had enough money and you buy it. But now they say, no need to wait. Here, you can have this, you can go and buy it now, or we'll give it you now and you can pay. We used to call it It used to be called the Never Never, paying it on the Never Never because it took forever. When I was a teenager, my first experience of that was I bought a bicycle. My mum had to stand as a guarantor for it, and I would pay so much every month for my bicycle. Anyhow, so it goes on. But that's just one of the symptoms of Kali Yuga, that we are always in trouble, some kind of trouble, and trouble usually means financial trouble. And we're always, we're short-lived. In Kali Yuga, everyone's short-lived. Then that means if you make it to 100, that's a big deal. In fact, in this country, you'll get a telegram from the king. It was the queen, but now you get one from the queen. A birthday card from the queen or the king. Congratulations, you made it. And what can we do with that 100 years, if we even get that? And maybe half of that is that we're asleep. Maybe 50 years of our life we're asleep, right? Maybe not quite 50 years. 8 hours every day, let's say, for our whole life. So, maybe that's a third of our life we spend asleep. Then the rest of the time eating, and another third of our life working, isn't it? 8 hours every day, going somewhere, for most people doing what you have to do to get by. It's not that everybody wakes up in the morning and thinks, oh great, I'm going to work today. And I was discussing this with a lady yesterday, and like at the end of people's lives, there's nobody who said, do you know, I wish I'd worked more in my life. Is it? Nobody says that. Everybody says, I wish I spent more time with my family. I wish I'd spent more time doing the things that make me happy. But for most of us, and you go and do that 8 hours every day, you spend more time with them than you do with your family. People that you might not even give them the time of day normally, but you have to spend your 1/4 of your life with these people every week. And you just make enough money so that you have to come back next week. This is our fate. I was reading a book recently it's talking about tithed living. Back in the few hundred years ago, they had a system in the UK. It's known as the feudal system, and it's a little bit like the system of Varnashram in India. That most people they have a landlord, and they work for their landlord. Their landlord would have been like a nobleman, a baron or something, and he owns the land. And you can have a cottage on his land if you work for him. So, we think, that doesn't sound so good, does it? But actually, it's much better than things are today, because you'd have to, maybe 2 or 3 days a week, you'd have to work for your landlord. The rest of the time was yours. You could do whatever you wanted to. And if you grew something on your land, you have to give a portion of that to the landlord also. But it wasn't so bad. Now you have to work all the hours that God gives you. My daughter, she works for a financial services company, and between like January and April, they're not allowed to take any leave at all. And if anyone goes home before 11 o'clock at night, they're considered like that person's really out of it. Like, what are they doing going home before 11 o'clock at night? So work to get these deadlines before the end of the financial year. It's the culture that people live in. Anyway. So, this is another symptom, and another symptom of this age, that everybody is a hypocrite. Everybody says one thing and does another thing. And especially those people that were meant to give our greatest, put our greatest faith in, those people who we vote in as our government, they're the biggest hypocrites of all. They say one thing and do another thing, and they're, to various degrees. We know that. We know that you can't trust politicians. You can't even trust a politician to give you a straight answer when they're interviewing someone. They never say yes or no. They always say, well, in real terms, what we're doing is, and they give some big. You have never answered the question. No, but in real terms, that's their skill, as diplomats, to be hypocrites. And then you find out that these people who are, waging some kind of crusade about morality, and they're found, the very thing that they're campaigning against, they're guilty of that very thing. We see that all the time. Anyway, nothing is as it seems in Kali Yuga. Good is bad and bad is good. In fact, that's even part of the lexicon of the age that we live in, isn't it? That young people, when they want to say something's really good, they say, "It's bad, man. It's really wicked, isn't it? It's wicked." All these things which should mean they're really good. Say they mean really bad, or vice versa. It's a very strange time that we live in. So, what to do? In the scripture it says that this Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. But there is one redeeming factor, and that is that those who perform the kirtan of Lord Krishna, they can attain the highest goal of life very easily. Just by doing the things that we have to do anyway, if those things are centered around Krishna, then we, rather than binding us to this material world, they free us from this material world. In Sanskrit, there's punya and pap. Punya means good deeds, and pap means sinful deeds. So if somebody thinks that I should just perform good deeds through my life, that's all I should do, and I should dedicate my life to doing that, then that's good. But ultimately, even that good in this world is ultimately bad, because that also binds us to this material world. Good or bad, everything has a reaction. Everything is reactionary. So even if you are able to do just good, which is not even possible, the German philosopher Immanuel Kant, he said, the only thing that is pure in this world is pure intention. And we say, well, it's very difficult even to find that, to find anyone who has pure intention. And we all know the saying, the road to hell is paved with good intention. So, even when you try to do something good, so what's the best you can do? They say, the greatest good for the greatest number. But that implies and means that some minority has to suffer for that. That's always the way. If you do something that benefits the majority of people, then some minority must suffer for that. So, but people think, well, it's the best we can do, isn't it? That's the best we can do. So, papa and punya. But Lord Chaitanya, he inaugurated this mission of Harinam Sankirtan, which is the Juga Dharma, or the religious spiritual process for this age. And one of his attendants, a very dear companion, Swarup Damodar Goswami, he wrote in a poem, a prayer to Lord Chaitanya, your kindness is non-evil producing kindness. Non-evil producing kindness. So that kind of sounds redundant, doesn't it? Like, how can kindness be evil producing? But just as I'd mentioned before, that if you do something good in this world, that there's a saying, no good turn goes unpunished, right? So, even if you do something good in this world, some bad reaction will come somewhere from that. Even if that means that you have to be born again in this world to enjoy the benefit or the reward for doing good. Still, you're here in this material world. It doesn't free you from this material world. But he says, Swarup Damodar Goswami says to Lord Chaitanya, your kindness, your mercy, your doya, is non-evil producing, because your kindness, goodness, mercy to others frees them from this material world. So this is you can say, what Lord Chaitanya taught us, the secret of living in this material world in such a way that we become liberated from this material world. That is, whatever you do that with Krishna in the center. That means everyone has to eat, right? So what will we eat? We'll eat that which is offered to Lord Krishna. With love and sacrifice, we offer what we eat to Lord Krishna. And we take that as his remnants. That is called prasadam. And that thing that we eat, that helps liberate us from this material world. It gives us material sustenance, but also spiritual sustenance. In fact, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, those who cook only for themselves and do not offer that in sacrifice, they eat only sin. So, it's recommended in the scripture that we should offer everything that we do to Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, our Guru Maharaj said, no other scripture in the world will you find God pleading for himself. So, like brazenly, manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji man namaskaro mami vaisasi satyam te pratijani priyoshime. He's speaking to us via Arjun. He says, manmana bhav, give your heart to me. Give me your heart. Bow down to me. Become my devotee and worship me. And surely you will come to me. And I promise this to you because you are dear to me. Priyoshime means you're dear to me. So, in other words, he's saying to Arjun, you can believe me when I say this to you. And if you can't believe me, then who can you believe? Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. God himself manifested in the world for our redemption. And this is just one verse in Bhagavad Gita. There are many places where he pleads his case to us. I am everything, and everything is in me. I am the cause of everything. But still, I am your friend. I am friendly to you. I want your benefit. This is a wonderful conception. That what we're dealing with, the supreme controller, the origin of everything, is not just some impersonal vibration or some impersonal power. Is a person, a loving person, a person who wants the best for everybody, with not even an iota of vindictiveness in his nature. The very nature of Krishna is all mercy, all love, all beauty, all sympathy, all harmony, all caring. This is Lord Krishna. And who is Lord Krishna? We say Krishna means God, but what kind of God are we speaking about? Not an old man in a cloud with a big beard, throwing thunderbolts on the wicked and showering benedictions on the pious, but a person, the most loving person, the original person. Ishara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. This is the first verse of Brahma Sangita, the prayers of Lord Brahma, the engineer, creator of the universe. This is his prayer, the first prayer of that Brahma Sangita. Ishara Parama Krishna. Krishna is the Parameshwara. That means the supreme enjoyer, the supreme master of everything. That is Krishna. Satchit Ananda Vigraha. He is the embodiment of truth, consciousness, eternity, bliss. Anadir Adir Govinda. And he is the original cowherd boy of Vrindavan. Sarva Karana Karanam. Sarva means everything. Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the origin of everything. He's the origin of everything. He is the supreme person. The German philosopher Hegel, he said, if God exists, he must possess two characteristics. That is, that he's for himself and by himself. For himself means he only exists to fulfill his own purpose, not anybody else's purpose. And by himself doesn't mean he's alone, but it means he's singular, that there's nothing or no one to rival him. In those of us who were brought up in Christian families or Judeo-Christian families, we hear about God and Satan, like Satan's God's rival. And the idea is if he becomes powerful enough, he can throw God out of heaven, sit on his throne and reign in darkness for all eternity. But this is a kind of dualistic idea. In fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of our great gurus, he said, we don't believe that such a gigantic being as Satan exists. But if he does exist, he's also under the control of Krishna. No one is separate from Krishna. No one is there to rival Krishna. So, but actually, if there is a Satan, it's the devil. It's a devil that dwells within ourselves. But there is no rival to the Lord. Everything, however great evil may be, let's say, like Satan has become the embodiment of everything that's evil. There's nothing to Krishna, nothing at all. Just someone who, got above their station, thinking that they can rival God. People think like that, There's many examples in the scripture. Ravan, Kamsa, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu. These are all great demons, to which, Satan is nothing compared to them. And they think that they can rival God. But there's no question of that. This is just absolute foolishness. God must exist for himself, for his own purpose, and by himself, no one to rival him. So if we look at that, who fits that criterion? Krishna fits that criterion. We heard, in India a few hundred years ago, the rulers of India were the Mughals, who come from Persia and Arabia. They invaded India and they became the rulers of India. So one of their emperors, Mughal emperor, his name was Akbar, and he was very famous emperor of India, and he had many wives, and one of his wives was a Hindu princess. And he was very fond of Hinduism. He liked the idea of Hinduism very much. So in Delhi, which was his capital, they made an exhibition in a big hall showing all the gods and goddesses of the Hindu pantheon. I say all of them. There's meant to be 33 million gods and goddesses in the Hindu pantheon, so it would have been a really big hall if they're going to show all of this. But the main ones, the main gods and goddesses, they showed. So Akbar was invited to the opening of the exhibition, and he came along there. And so someone's showing him around and explaining to him, this is Saraswati. She's the goddess of learning and art and music, all of these things. This is Indra. He controls the elements like the wind and the rain, and this is Surya. He's the god of the sun, and this is Lord Shiva. He's the god of the Tamagun, and they're explaining all the different things about the gods and goddesses, what they do, what their duties are, their functions in the world. And then they come to the Krishna exhibition there, and there's a diorama or statue of Krishna standing. He's playing his flute. He's leaning against a cow. He's got his cowherd and boy and girlfriends sitting around him. He's playing in Vrindavan. Then Akbar says, "Okay, so who's this?" He says, "This is Krishna. And what's his function in the world?" And the guide had to scratch his head and think for a minute. And he said, "Do you know, he doesn't have any function in this world. All he does, he just enjoys himself." That's Krishna. He just exists to enjoy himself with his friends and the cows and the cowherd boys and the cowherd girls. And Akbar, being very intelligent, he said, "This is your highest conception of God. That God exists to enjoy himself, just for his purpose, he doesn't have any function in this world. This is Krishna. And everything is emanating from Krishna. All the gods and goddesses, they are all parts and parcel of Krishna, all coming from Krishna. So Krishna, he is the supreme. And if we connect ourselves with Krishna, then everything becomes very, very wonderful and spiritualized. So, we think that, spiritualism or, something that's spiritual must have some kind of mystical, magical touch to it. And indeed, that's true. But actually, the difference between matter and spirit is only utility. So everything in this material world can be classified as material or spiritual by its utility. So, we're thinking that this is, brick and glass and metal and all of these things. They're obviously material things, right? But once those things are used for the service and satisfaction of Krishna, they become spiritual. It's just a matter of the utility. Like if you came here today by car, let's say, so you can use your car, drive to the nightclub, or drive to wherever it is that you want. And then you use that car as a material thing. But if you use your car to come to the temple, your car becomes a spiritual car by its utility. So everything can be utilized in the service of Krishna. Then everything becomes spiritualized. So this whole material world, if it's dedicated to Krishna, if the whole world were to make Krishna as the center, this wouldn't be the material world, this would be Vaikuntha, this would be the spiritual world. Simply by the utility of Krishna. And we also, we live in these material bodies which experience birth and some growth and some disease and some pleasure and pain and all of these things, and then old age and then death, and then again and again and again. So you can say this is the material condition. Is again in Sanskrit that's called samskara, or samsara, the wheel of repeated birth and death. So, but you can become free of that cycle of birth and death simply by utilizing your energy for the service of Krishna. Krishna says, Daivyesha gunamayi mama maya darachaya, in Bhagavad Gita, that no one can cross over this maya. Maya means illusion. Maya, that which is not. No one can cross over that because Daivyesha, Daivi means divine. It's part of my divine energy. So nobody can cross that. But those who devote themselves to me, then that whole material ocean becomes something like the water in the hoof print of a calf. Then you can easily cross over that. Those who are devoted to me, Krishna says. Those who janma karma chame dibyam, Krishna says. Those who know that my janma, my birth, and my karma, my activities, if you understand that they are dibyam, that they are all spiritual, they're not like your birth or my birth or your activities or my activities. They're all part of the spiritual reality. If you just understand that, appreciate that, you never have to return to this material world. This is Krishna's declaration. It's as simple as that. If you are able to understand that, you don't have to take birth in this material world again. So, we are also spiritual beings, but now we are covered by a gross material body and a subtle material body. The subtle material body made up of our thoughts and our mind and our ego. Those are the things that cover our soul. They're things that stop us from understanding who we are. We cannot see Krishna because between myself and Krishna there's a mountain range of ego. Everyone has ego. Ego means their identity. But now we're laboring under a false ego, a misconceived ego, that I'm this body, that I'm this mind, that I'm these thoughts, that I'm all of these things that have come together in this lifetime and perhaps previous lifetimes also, who make me who I am, who I think I am. When I look in the mirror, when I consider what it is that I'm about in my life, we think that this is who I am. But it's a mistake. And that it's such a great mistake that it's described like a mountain range of ego. So we have to dissolve that ego and replace it with our real ego. And our real ego is to be the eternal servant of God, the eternal servant of Krishna. Lord Chaitanya, he says, what is it? Kind of escapes me now, that verse. Naham vipro narapatir napi vaisho nashudro naham varni nachagriha navanastir jatirva kintu prajan nikila paramananda punamritabde gopi bharta padakamalayo das anudas. So it means I'm not a Bipra, I'm not a Brahmin priest, I'm not a Kshatriya, like a warrior, I'm not a Vaishya, a laborer or banker or something like that, and I'm not a Shudra, means a laborer. A Vaishya means farmer or banker. I'm not any of those things. I don't identify with any of those things. I'm not brahmachari, means a celibate student. I'm not a grihasta. I'm not a family man, family person. I'm not a vanaprastha, retired person, or I'm not a sannyasi. I'm not a monk. Then what am I? How do I see myself? I see myself simply as the servant of the servant of that ever-expanding ocean of bliss, the master of the gopis, the cowherd girls, Lord Sri Krishna. That's how I identify myself. So, and that is not just him, but us also. We are that. We are the eternal servants of Krishna. When Sanatana Goswami met Lord Chaitanya, this was the first question he asked him. Ki ami? Ki ami means, who am I? Who am I and why am I suffering here in this material world? And Lord Chaitanya said, Jivara Sharupahoy Krishnara Nityadas. Krishnara Tatasta Shakti Beda Bed Prakash. You are a jiva, a soul. You are the spiritual soul. Sharupahoy, and your form, Krishnara Nityadasa. Your form is the eternal servant of Krishna. Krishnara Tatasta Shakti. That you've come from the marginal energy of Krishna. That means your soul, where it has come from, is the line of demarcation between the spiritual world and the material world. The soul originates there. And you can adapt yourself to the spiritual world or to the material world. And you are Beda Bed Prakash. You are inconceivably, simultaneously one with God and different from God. That means we're the same as God because we are spiritual by nature. But we're different from God that our nature is very small. We are finite, infinitesimal. And He is infinite. He is the infinite. Like you can say, He is the ocean. We're a drop of water in that ocean. That's our identification. So, and everything is like that in this material world, or any world, material or spiritual world. Everything is one with God and at the same time different from God. But how do we realize that? How do we come to realize that? And there are various processes of yoga and so many different kinds of meditation and so on. But in this age, in the Kali age, the most easy, direct route to awakening our love of God, our consciousness of Krishna, is through Nama Sankirtan, through the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. By chanting the holy names of Krishna, there are 7 effects of chanting the holy name of Krishna. And the first one is that Chaito Darpana Marjanam, that the mirror of our consciousness becomes cleansed, becomes cleaned. So that in this regard, the soul or our consciousness, they're one and the same thing. They're compared to a mirror of consciousness. So when we look in the mirror, we see our own reflection. But now that mirror is covered with a thick layer of dirt, which is our accumulated misconception, prejudice, and misidentification from not just from this life, but many, many lives altogether, that we can't see our real self. That dirt that we've associated ourselves with, of this material world, has so thickly covered that mirror of our consciousness, we can't see our own reflection. We can't see our own soul. The soul is capable of seeing itself, perceiving itself. But first, the mirror of our consciousness has to be cleaned of all of that crud that's covering it at this moment. And this is the first effect of the chanting of Harinam, chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, is that it cleanses the mirror of our consciousness, that we are able to perceive who we are. And it is by stages, you can say, by increments that happens. As we practice this Harinam Sankirtan, gradually that dirt becomes dislodged and removed, and we can perceive ourselves. That is only the first thing. We can identify ourselves with our spiritual self, our real self. As Guru Maharaj would say, our golden self, the golden self that dwells within us. And he said, if once you meet your own self, you will feel ashamed. Oh, I had such a mean conception of who I was. I thought that was who I was. But now I see how great, how high, how noble, how wonderful my real self is. What to speak of seeing God? Our own self is so glorious, so wonderful, so pure. If you once see yourself, you will be ashamed of what you thought was you. So much potential, so much spiritual energy existing within that real self. We do not know what is there. They didn't know up until a few hundred years ago how much power there is in one atom, isn't it? But they can make some device that breaks that one atom, can destroy the whole world. That's how much power there is in one atom. Now, what to speak of, our own self, our real self, the atom, they say, that thing which cannot be divided again. That's what atom means, actually. But then they found a way to divide that, but with causing the great destruction, that power, when it's released. So that is nothing. That is just a small thing. So, as Einstein said, everything is what it is, plus its potential. And who can understand what is the potential of anything? What is the potential of a grain of sand? What exists within a grain of sand? Like how many universes there may be in one grain of sand? We do not know that. Then our own self, we do not know what kind of power exists within us, what kind of wonder we can find in our own soul. So, there is nothing more imperative than to understand the nature of ourself. And we can find a lot of help in understanding that, realizing that, through the scripture, the revealed scripture, the revelation of truth coming from the upper world, and through the association of saintly people, those who are on the path of realization, those who have some understanding of that, who have practiced that for many years and have benefited from that. If we have their association, we can also benefit from that. Birds of a feather flock together. So, we find that in this world, that's what people do, isn't it? Whatever you're interested in, you try and find other people who are interested in that too. If you're interested in model trains or something, you find a local model train association. They meet every Friday night at the community hall. You go there, you meet with them, and you spend the time talking about the latest engines and carriages and whatever it is that excites them about that. So it's no different. Those who are interested in spiritual truth, they seek out those who are also interested in the same thing. And just like if you want to be successful in anything in this world, you try and learn from those who have been successful at that thing in this world. So, find somebody who's been successful as a businessman, if you want to be a businessman. And you can learn from them how it is they became successful. Maybe you can do the same thing. So in spiritual life also, it's not different. If you can find those who have been successful in their spiritual practice, then that association can also rub off on you. You can also become successful in spiritual life. Birds of a feather flock together. It is not unnatural, it is not unusual, it is very usual that everyone will try to do that. So, this is why we have this beautiful temple. That's why, it wasn't... nobody gave it to us. It wasn't free. Devotees had to work very hard to buy this place, pay for this place, and what for? Just so that we can share with everyone that great treasure, spiritual treasure that has come in our life. We want to also share that with everybody else. So, this is our proposal, that everyone can understand that which actually exists within you already. It's already within you. You just have to awaken it. It's not about conversion. It's not like that we want to convert people to become Hare Krishna devotees or something like that. No. What we want is that you will awaken to that spiritual fortune and treasure that's already existing in your heart. Just a matter of waking up to that. Just a matter of tapping into that resource that's there already within you. And the very easy way to begin that, and actually all throughout, is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You cannot understand how powerful this mantra is. It is called the Maha Mantra. The Maha Mantra means the great mantra. There are so many mantras. But if you know many mantras or you don't know any mantra, if you know this Hare Krishna mantra, it is the supreme mantra. Everything is contained within that. And it has the potential to awaken your innate spiritual nature. It has the potential for you to reach your spiritual perfection in this very life. And to open your eyes to the spiritual reality. One of our gurus, Srila Prabhupada A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, used to say, everything in this world comes to zero. Like whatever you do, however great an empire you make for yourself, at death it's all gone, it's all finished. You can't take any of it with you. So everything equals zero eventually. So if you have, if you write a check and you've got like 100 or 1,000 zeros on there, and you take it to the bank, what will they give you for it? Zero. It's worth zero, even if there's 1,000 zeros or 1,000,000 zeros. But as soon as you put a 1 in front of those zeros, then it becomes infinitely valuable. And that 1 is Krishna. So everything in this life gets its real value when we put Krishna in front of that. When we make Krishna the center of our life. and dedicate everything we do as an offering to Krishna. And worship of Krishna is not very complicated. Simply by chanting his holy name, that is a great act of worship. And he himself says in the Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Jalam, that if you offer me with love and affection a fruit, a flower, a leaf, or water, I will accept it if it's offered with love. So that anyone can do that. They're not great things. They're not. Krishna's not saying, offer your weight in gold to me or anything like that. A fruit, a flower, a leaf, or water. Very simple things that everyone can have access to. If you offer those things to Krishna, then it's like when I was a child, we used to get pocket money from my father every week. Not much, maybe 50 pence or something, pocket money. And then when we would go on holiday, I remember my father would take us to like a gift shop, local gift shop by the sea, and there you can buy these like souvenirs inside. They're just made of chalk or something, and they say, the name of that seaside place, whatever it is, New Quay or something, and it's got a picture of a couple of dolphins swimming or something like that. So, and it costs very little, but my brother and I, we would buy something like this, and then we'd go and offer it as a gift to my mother. And you can't believe how happy she became by receiving that from us. Think about it, right? We're just kids. We don't have any money. That money that we have was given to us by my father. And that money, we saved a little bit of that, bought some, small rubbish thing as a gift for our mother, and she becomes so happy from that. She didn't need anything from us. And so in the same way, when we take something that we've received, everything we receive in this world is by the grace of God. When you take that thing, that energy, and you offer it to the Lord, a fruit, a flower, a leaf, water, offer it to him with love, how happy he becomes. He's not in any need for anything from us. He's fully self-satisfied. But he wants our love. And these things are tokens of love. And when we offer something to Krishna with love, he accepts that and he reciprocates that. So love, give love, get love. Try to offer something to Krishna with love, you will receive love in return. This is the a very simple method of bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga means the yoga of devotion. Very simple thing. You have to eat. So before you eat, cook something that Krishna likes, offer that to Krishna, then eat that. Then that eating becomes an act of love, becomes a spiritual activity. Then everything in life, we do that. If we do that and try and dedicate that to Lord Krishna, then we'll be benefited by that. It won't bind us to this material world again in a karmic cycle of birth and death, birth and death, birth and death. But rather, it will liberate us from this world, and we will go to be with Krishna in the eternal world, which is our eternal home. And always accompanied by the chanting of Krishna's holy name. Then easily we can come to the perfect realization of our spiritual potential. That will be awakened in the service of Lord Krishna through this chanting of Harinam Sankirtan. So, I think our time is up today. If anyone has a question, I can try and answer that before we carry on. or otherwise we can do arati. Bir Chandrapur, you want to check if they're ready to do that?
Yeah. You mentioned earlier when you were talking about the finances that there is a mortgage broker.
Oh, there you go. Yes. Good. Just the intermediary. Hare Krishna. My brother also, he's a mortgage broker. Mortgage broker and like financial advisor. Jai. Jai. Bhaja Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Sri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivastava Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Yasomati Nandana Raja Varanagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Gopi Paranadana Madana Manohara Kaliya Damana Bidhana Amala Harinam Ami Abhilasha Vipina Sri Bhajana Suvasa Raja Jana Palana Asura Kula Nashana Nanda Godana Rakayala Govinda Madhava Nabarita Taskara Sundarananda Gopala Yamuna Tatachara Gopi Vasanahara Rasarasika Kripamoya Sri Radha Ballabha Vrindavana Nattabara Bhakti Vinodashraya Sri Radha Ballabha Vrindavana Nattabara Sri Radha Ballabha Vrindavana Nattabara Bhakti Vinodashraya Thakor Bhakti Vinodashraya Jasamati Nandana Brajavara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Jai Sachinandana Suramuni Bandana Bhavabhaya Kandana Jayo He Jai Hari Kirtana Nartana Vartana Kali Malakartana Jayo He Nayana Purandara Vishwarupa Snehadara Vishambara Vishwara Kalyana Jai Lakshmi Vishnu Priya Vishambara Priya Hiya Jai Priya King Karishana Sri Sita Dvaita Rai Malini Srivasa Jai Jai Chandra Shekhara Acharya Jai Nityananda Rai Gadadhara Jai 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 Haridas Namacharya Kandana Suramuni Bandana Baba Baya Kandana Jayo He Murari Mukunda Jai Premanindi Mahashai Jai Jata Prabhu Parishada Vandi Sabakara Paya de Mere Kripai Bhakti Saparshada Prabhupada Bhakti Saparshada Prabhupada Jai Satinandana Suramuni Bandana Baba Baya Kandana Jayo He Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Anita Gaura Haribo, 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 Haribo. Anita Gaura Haribo, 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 Haribo. Go Pregnante, Haribo. Jai. 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 Prabhu
But they're still around. My son's around for a couple more days, and then no, they don't. They've been living in Thailand, and so I haven't seen him for 2 years. I've seen very little of him for the last 3 years, so it's been a good catch up. Yeah.
What did they think when they came? They tell you or not?
Yeah, they asked me some questions. I mean, I'd taken them to the temple when they were little, but and my daughter came to visit me. Last time I saw her, I was in Bulgaria, and so it was a Lord Chaitanya deity in the temple there also. So
She's familiar.
she's a bit more familiar than my son. I just felt like there was, it was a reminder of how little they know. Yeah. But,
He wasn't disturbed.
sorry?
He wasn't
Oh,
disturbed.
good, good. Yeah, my daughter's going to be around a bit longer, so maybe she'll come along again.
Okay, yeah, very nice.
No, he's not here.